Hello, everybody. My name is Rodgon. I'm an artist. I'm a designer. I'm a teacher. I like to draw cartoons. And more importantly than anything, I like to teach people how to draw things like this. So, welcome. Today, I figured that we would do a really fun stream. And please let me know if you guys want to learn anything specific, but we are going to mostly be talking about the really cool tips that I have learned over my career on how to draw heads better. We're just going to do a bunch of different tips that are going to be really useful for you. And as we go along, if you guys learn something, all I ask is that you guys go sub to my YouTube channel, because we're going to be transferring everybody to YouTube, and just want you guys to just learn. Okay? So let's go about drawing the head. Tip number one. Tip number one is one of the most important. The head and the neck are not separate. The neck and your head are very much the same shape. It's just a complicated shape. Understanding the distinction in the sizing of your neck is going to depend on the styles that you choose. But if you separate your neck from your head, it becomes a lot harder to be able to draw it. So understanding that your head is just a little complicated cylinder is going to be very much a lifesaver for a lot of you. So understanding that concept, it was one of those things that made my brain explode. I could now draw a circle and two circles like this, connect them and taper them, and I could draw a head. I was like, wow. So I've been complicating my life so much harder. If I want to draw it in space, I can take into consideration this circle and go around it in different ways. I can make it look from underneath. I can make it look from the top. If I make that circle bigger, I get a bigger jaw. If I make that circle smaller, I get a little jaw. And I get all the weird roundness that is normally really complicated to learn from your structures by simply drawing a circle in the right place. That's kind of cool, huh? So when you're thinking of your head, don't think of it as two separate objects. Think about it as one little figure 9 object, right? A little figure 9, and then draw a circle at the bottom to connect it to the ribcage. That will give you a much more easy to understand way to draw the head than the other ways that you're probably trying to learn how to draw it. Because this is more akin of what your actual head is like. Most people don't have the super ripped jawline, but you can always add it after. But you can always add it once you have your head shape right. And it becomes a lot easier as well to move. If you want to move your head up and down, it's a lot easier when you keep it as the same shape. Okay? It becomes a million times easier. So learning how to do these things doesn't have to be difficult. Okay? It's two circles and whatever shape head you want. Whatever shape head, two circles. And you have yourself the shape that goes around for your ears. It gives you the roundness for your neck. And it also gives you the connecting point to your ribcage. So it's a very simple way of seeing it, but a lot of people just don't take advantage of seeing things differently than other people have taught them. Okay? Circle 1, circle 2, connect them at the back. This becomes my nose, my mouth, my chin, my jaw, my ear. I can draw whatever stylization I feel like. And then the neck, the thickness of the neck comes from the spine. It just comes and you decide how thick the neck is going to be from there. You can make it as thick as your head, or you can taper that. It becomes a lot easier to understand the neck when you don't have to think about it too much. Circle 1 is going to give you the perspective of your head. So if you draw it thin, you get more of a side profile. If you draw it thicker, you draw more of a going around the head shape. Okay, so that perspective is very useful. So understanding that was one of those biggest components. If I want a face looking a certain direction, I can just angle that circle and it gives me the jawline at that angle. Absolutely insanely easy. But again, it's not something that a lot of people think about. So that's why I decided to come here and teach you guys a couple tips and tricks. Okay? So let's move on to the next one. Boom, 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 boom. Like I said, if you learn something, show me, feed my ego. Go sub at my YouTube channel. That is all I want. All right, so next tip. A lot of people have issues understanding the features of their face. So we're going to make it really, really easy. Any shape that you draw, we're going to divide it into 3 going one way or the other. Okay? Boom, boom, boom. So all of these have 3 parts. Okay? At first, we're going to only consider the top 2. So we're going to start with a box, and we're going to shade the bottom part of the box. So you're going to see how easy it is to start drawing your heads from a box. The box, you're going to draw an hourglass inside and a circle. That hourglass and a circle are going to indicate a couple things. It's going to give you an indication of your eye socket, right? That's going to be where your eyeball sits. This top line is going to be where your brow line goes. That is where your eyebrows sit. This bottom line is going to be your cheekbone. That is going to be, quite frankly, the cheekbone going into your teeth line. Okay? So essentially, you're replicating a very conceptual skull, giving yourself space for the top part of your head. And essentially, just the third part that you draw, so that's 1 and 2, this third part is the length of your jaw. So you don't use the guidelines out here. No. You don't use this as this would be more of your neck. That would not be your jaw. Your jaw actually comes inside a little bit. Okay? And it connects directly to your teeth line. So now we're trying to replicate this, but very simply. So we're going to do a box, a triangle, an hourglass, a circle, and for this part right here, it's super easy. You just follow this triangle down. Now, this is going to be the easiest representation of a human skull that you'll ever be able to draw. This gives you all the landmarks that you need for being able to draw your characters. You don't need very much more than that to be able to understand how your characters react. If you draw the teardrop small, you get characters with small bottom features. If you draw the teardrop big, you get longer features. If you don't draw it, you can change the size of the nose, everything like that based on this little triangle. The little triangle, if you draw it wide, you're going to have a wider nose. If you draw it skinny, you're going to get a thinner nose. Okay? And that's going to lead to a wider mouth set, a thinner mouth set. Everything's connected. Everything is connected like connect the dots. And if you learn how those little tips and tricks work, it becomes a million times easier. So now that's my little box method, right? Just draw a box. If you match a circle to the box, you're going to have the side of your head. Now, if you want to rotate this, just put a barrier around here and make the circle bigger, the box smaller, and you have yourself rotation. You want the front view? Okay, make the box bigger, the circle smaller, and you have a front view. Okay? It's just addition and subtraction of a box and a circle. If you make the circle really big, you get side rotation. Okay? If you make the box really big, you don't even see the circle. Ta-da! So now you know how to rotate a head. Did you already post these on your YouTube videos? If not, will you? Because it's really helpful. Well, it's being posted on Instagram right here. So you'll have it here too. So all you have to do is just go back here and watch it. But it's probably going to be on the TikTok, and this one will be uploaded to YouTube as well. Okay, because this one's just really fun. So understanding that you can draw a head from a box is really fun, because now you just have to rotate that box in space. And now you can rotate things in space. Not thinking of this as one shape, remember, as two shapes. If you don't think it as two shapes, it becomes really easy to combine those two methods and draw really cool things. So, ta-da! You're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. Tip number 3. Learning how your eye works is really, really fun. Your eyeball, we talked about the box, so we're going to draw a head with a box, right? And this is going to be where our nose and our eyes are going to fall. Our eyebrows fall right here. Our cheekbone is right here. This is where our ear comes out from. So all the features are going to fall right there, okay? Now, the eye is going to start, or the middle of your eyeball is going to be where that intersection happens right here. That intersection is going to give you access to your eyeball. Your eyeball is going to sit a little bit closer to the inside than the outside. You have to leave a little bit of space around. But if you're going for a more realistic look, it would be more in the upper quadrant, like right here. This would give you a more realistic look. This might give you a more like Disney or Pixar look, because this emphasizes the spacing between the eyebrows, as opposed to this, that you would have your eyebrow really close to your eyeball. When you draw cartoons, you want to have the ability to draw as big of an eye as possible, so you lower that so that you can have space to be able to make them really big, really small, without distorting them too much. It's all based on style, but it all falls in the same premise. Okay, so understanding these curves is going to be important. Now, when you have this is a very important part, okay? This will make it so you never really know where not to put your eyeball. If you follow around, and you come back into the outside of your eye, that is the natural flow of how your body part works. This then butterflies out and gives you this little dimple. This is very important, especially on the other side. Let's say that you draw your nose and you find your little triangles and everything. If you butterfly this in and you butterfly this one in, you see those intersections? Those intersections are the perfect little spacing for your eyes. And it also gives you the curvature you need for your brow muscle and the curvature out you need for your cheekbone. So it's very simple to think about it like that. Let's do it again. So once you have your shape, you butterfly it in, butterfly out, gives you an intersection, and those intersections become your eyeballs. It's really cool, huh? It's a really fun one. So if you find your eye, the outside of your eye curves around and comes back into the front where your nose bridge is going to be. So that little curvature right here can tell you everything right here. And that is a very useful thing to know, especially when you're drawing things from the other side. Let's draw the other nose. Okay, so if you're drawing an eye right here on this side and you don't know where those little curvy parts go, follow your edge around, find your triangle, find these circles, butterfly it to the outside of your eye, and then you intersect it with the other. And now you have the ability to draw that brow muscle going around. It's a very useful tool. Very useful. Because it gives you the proportions and the size that you need for your respective eyeballs. And it also gives you the curvature for your cheekbones, which gives you the volume for that body part. And then if you follow that triangle down, it gives you the muzzle for your mouth. You connect the cheekbone to that, and then you have yourself a face. So understanding that little body part is really cool. So that was tip number 3. Tip number 4, let's talk about the side of your head and the cheekbones, because that's really hard for people. So whenever you're drawing your heads, okay, most of you will do this and do this and do this. Okay, most of you are going to be used to doing this. Stop doing that. Draw a box. Draw 2 lines coming in and 1 intersecting. Your neck is already there. This is the side of your head. We just learned how to draw the head, right? So we just divide it into 3. And then we find our features based on that. This is going to be more how a real human being looks and easier for you to understand than this. This has always been complicated to me. I don't know why. Right? It doesn't give you any guidance. It's all relative to if you know anatomy or if you don't. If you don't know anatomy, this becomes a chore beyond belief. Like the spacing becomes hard, the issues with learning how to draw your mouths within the space, and then it just, I don't know, I'm making it look a lot easier than it is. But learning how to draw it from any shape and just drawing a little box inside, right? I now have the ability to draw heads in any sort of situation I feel like, even if they don't really necessarily fit that shape. Mostly because I just know where the features land. If you draw any shape and you're able to find those shapes inside, you can make that into a head. Okay? So anything that you can put the features inside, that's where your imagination kicks in. Okay? That is where you need to learn perspective, anatomy, references, and stuff like that to be able to draw the things from those tips. I can give you all the tips you want, but if you don't actually go outside and look at things that are different than what I'm drawing, you're only going to be able to replicate the things that I show you. The whole point of this is to be able to teach you concepts that you can go out and learn on your own. Okay? So understanding that your head doesn't have to be much more than just this, and literally a line going in is going to be one of those brain-breaking things that just doesn't quite make sense for some reason. It's been so difficult for me to draw things. Why is it so hard for me to draw a head? It's because you're overthinking it. You're seriously overthinking it. A lot of the times it's not about creating this whole system right? It's just about seeing the basic shapes and seeing what part overlaps a little. And that's it. It's much, much easier than people expect it to be. So thank you so much for learning with me. I hope that you guys learned a lot from these little tips. These 4 or 5 tips that we learned today are going to be consistently the ones that break the mold when it comes down to drawing faces. If you learned anything, make sure to join my YouTube. Go join me on TikTok. Go join me in all of the things I do. Come join us for any of the webinars I do so you guys can learn more things. And I will see you guys next time for the next video. Later, Gators.